Shelly and Fraser Pryce is brilliant. Here's why. Welcome back to the channel, people. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for making it Peter Lloyd World. Now go ahead, please hit that subscribe button so we can continue to grow. When you do that, go in and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video drops. We drop a video at least once a day, every day here on Peter Lloyd World. Also, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button. And finally, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on our discussion about how brilliant Shelly and Fraser Pryce is and her current team. You see, recently I saw a post by one of my amazing Jamaican sports vloggers, one of the channels that I love and respect so much. And they were talking about the fact that Shelly and Fraser Pryce is missing. And I think this is a sign of how brilliant she is. And ready? Yep, good to go. Many of you are not aware of this, but I love to work out. It's a personal obsession. I love throwing around weights. I love lifting weights. I love doing push-ups. I simply love working out. One of the things I had to learn painfully after an injury where I had 4 herniated discs, 2 pinched nerves, and 2 cracked lumbars, I realized something simple. The way you work out when you're 20 cannot be the way you work out when you are 40 or even 35. You see, your body changes, it grows, it deals with stress differently. And so what has to happen is you have to learn to train differently. As of December the 27th last year, Shelly and Fraser Pryce is now officially 35 years of age. In her 34th year on this planet, she produced the fastest times in her existence as an iconic, in fact, greatest of all time runner. You see, according to 2021, number 1 is Elaine Thompson-Herah, number 2 is Shelly and Fraser Pryce with a time of 10.60, and then of course there is Sha'Carri Richardson 10.72, Sharika Jackson 10.76, etc. Let's take a look at this Diamond League 10.60 run done by a 34-year-old Shelly and Fraser Pryce. Watch. Now, later on in the video, we're going to take another look at that remarkable 10.76 run, which solidified Shelly and Fraser Pryce as the 3rd fastest woman all time and the 2nd fastest woman alive, second only to Elaine Thompson-Herah. Now, the fact that I'm stressing that Shelly and Fraser Pryce is now 35 years of age is really, really important to the crux of what we're discussing. You see, in sprint terms, at 35, you are roughly 50 years of age. In sprint years, that is. And yet, Shelly and Fraser Pryce is only getting better. But the reason for this are a few things. One might just be great genetics. Genetically, she just may be blessed, and I'm pretty sure that she is. But beyond that, I think her team, her coach, and herself are doing a brilliant job of managing Shelly and Fraser Pryce's transition from a 20-year-old sprinter to a 35-year-old sprinter. Early in 2021, she set the world afire, running a stunning 10.63, becoming the first woman in years to run sub 10.7, and at the time it was the world's fastest time. And at the time it was the 2nd fastest time all time, second only to Flojo's 10.34, the current world record. Here is that race. Now, after leaving the MVP camp and the coaching brilliance of Stephen Francis, those reins were taken over by Ronaldo Walcott, who I must concede is doing a brilliant job managing this transition. Now, as we get older, injury becomes easier. And one of the things that happens to most athletes, and in fact all of us as human beings, is that recovery from any exercise is a lot harder and a lot more stringent. Let me break it down in these terms. If you were, let's just say you're over 30, when you were 20 years of age, you were able to go to an all-night party, get up the following morning and go to university or go to work. And you'd be a little tired, but you could do it. Try doing that at 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Recovery from any strenuous, especially something like very specific exercises, etc., can take a much longer time. So it's better for the athlete to perhaps run in less events so that their body can recover faster. And it's one of the things that I realized that Shelly and Fraser Pryce and Coach Walcott are doing. You see, it's one of the reasons why we're not seeing her during the indoor season. Now, the truth is she doesn't normally do that anyway. I don't get the impression that that's one of her most favorite things. But it is very smart for them to ensure that she's not overextending. She needs to be completely concentrating on world championships. The truth is she probably just needs to do a few runs just to see where she's at. But you're not going to see her do that very early. Now, we saw her winning the 100-meter trials, national trials in Jamaica, very convincingly ahead of Brianna Williams, Shericka Jackson, and Elaine Thompson-Herah, who came second. Here is that race. This, of course, was for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, national trials 2021. Watch. These national trials were the last time Shelly and Fraser Pryce was going to beat Elaine Thompson for some time. The 100 meters and the 200 meters at the national trials were the very, very last time for some time before she was able to beat Elaine Thompson again. Into the Olympics, both in the 100 and 200 meters, she was beaten to the tape by Elaine Thompson-Herah. Certainly her best chance of medaling would have been the 100 meters, and she was only able to get a silver medal, which is extremely impressive, let me state that. But I know, and we all know, that her desire was to win gold. This continued for some time. Now the question is, why wasn't she able to do this? Now, obviously, Elaine Thompson-Herah is on fire. She's in a form that's rare. At this point, the only comparison would be like Shelly is kind of like Blake at his best, and Elaine is like Usain at his best. Yes, she can beat her, but it had to be timed right. And of course, she lost again at the Prefontaine Classic held in Oregon. Here is that race. However, after the Prefontaine Classic, Walcott, Fraser Pryce, and her team made a very, very interesting decision. Fraser Pryce announced at the end of the race after Prefontaine Classic that she was feeling tired and she was withdrawing. But right after she came back from that rest, she beat Elaine Thompson-Herah and ran her fastest time yet. She ran 10.60. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. As I said, when you get older, your recovery, it's much more difficult to recover. It takes a lot longer. So an older boxer doesn't fight with the ferocity. If you look at a Muhammad Ali as a youngster in his 20s and a Muhammad Ali in his late 30s, you're looking at two very different boxers. The older boxer, I mean, it's like Floyd Mayweather at this point. It's more cunning than it is savagery. After her rest, she was able to convincingly beat Elaine Thompson-Herah and ran the fastest time she had run in her life, 10.60. And I'm going to say that again, that is not a coincidence. I'm going to say it again. At her age, recovery takes longer. Here is that race once more. Once Shelly and Fraser Pryce got out of those blocks, Elaine simply couldn't catch her. We know that she's the fastest out of the blocks. So here's what I'm saying, and I'm trying to simplify it without getting I'm trying to simplify this without getting into all the scientific pontification. Follow me. The older we get, the harder it is, the longer it is for us to recover. We have to train differently. What we did at 20, we simply cannot reach at 35, 40, 45, 50. That's just the mechanics of life. It doesn't mean you can't run very fast anymore, but the way you run has to change. So it means that if it takes a longer time for her to recover, why are you going to have her running in the early season, flying all over the world, doing all these runs? Remember, last year when she ran that 10.63, it was effortless early in the year. But she was not able to reproduce that time until almost 4 months later. She did several meets in between that. It was when she took a real break. She took a couple of days off, about a week off, and rested. She was able to run that 10.60. And I want you to understand that that's the brilliance of what Coach Walcott, Shelly and Fraser Pryce and her team are doing. You are not seeing her now because it is not in her best interest to be running in all those meets. At 35, they need to conserve that speed and energy. When you see her, it's going to be in the meets that really matter, that gives her an opportunity to test her mettle. In fact, if the team is as brilliant as I think they are going to be, you will not see Shelly and Fraser Pryce running as many meets as she did last year. Because the obvious lesson is, at the beginning of the year, she ran 10.63. And at the end of her season, it may have been her very last race, she ran 10.60. In between, she had all these other meets to run. She's 34. It takes a lot longer for her to recover. That's the most basic way I can put this. What Walcott, Shelly and Fraser Pryce and the team are doing for Shelly and Fraser Pryce is brilliant. Less is more. So I know that they're concentrating also on increasing her reaction time, which seems almost impossible. But here's what I'm thinking. The only real threat she has to winning that gold medal is actually Elaine Thompson-Herah. Theoretically, Shericka Jackson, if she can run that first 60 meter in roughly about 7 seconds flat, and theoretically, if Sha'Carri Richardson recovers and becomes the Sha'Carri Richardson we saw that ran 10.72, they could also be a threat. But on paper, the real threat is Elaine Thompson-Herah. In fact, that's why Elaine Thompson-Herah is working on her start. So if Shelly Ann is fresh, her training regimen is adapted to her age, and clearly Walcott is doing a brilliant job. That's why she's running these crazy times, I'm telling you. And you also need to remember that in 2020, she didn't run. So she was able to rest for a very long time. What Fraser Pryce needs are less races. They need to select the races to give her body time to rest. Remember, Peter Lloyd Ward is telling you this. Her team is brilliant. You're going to see Shelly Ann in less races this year than last year. Remember, I'm telling you this. Remember what I said to you. I could get all scientific and complex, but I don't want to do that. I want to keep it basic. The older you get, the longer it takes for you to recover. The older you get, the easier it is for you to be injured. So you don't want to run your star athlete into the ground. Forget to hit that subscribe button so we can continue to grow here at Peter Lloyd World. Remember, the goal now is 20,000 subs. We'll get there with your assistance. Also, go in, hit the notification bell so you know when the next video drops. We drop a video once a day, every day here on Peter Lloyd World. And also, hit the like button. We need the engagement. The algorithms on YouTube love it. And there are no more dislike buttons. So please hit the like button and finally leave your comments. What do you think about my thoughts? I really think that her team and her, Shelly and Fraser Pryce, are being brilliant. You are kings and queens, greatness personified. Believe in yourselves and bless up.